Exciting, thank you. That was the word I was looking for.
I'm not wearing
Ready
one.
for the
so
slide?
I'm not
Very
very
confident.
confident.
All right, we are live.
Okay, right, so it is 6:02 and I'd like to call to order. Miss Jennifer Haggerty, absent. Miss Stacy Holbert. Right here. Present. Mr. Marky James.
Here.
Present. Mr. Peter Manella.
Here.
And Mr. James Preston.
Present.
Excellent, so we have a quorum. Okay, then I need a motion to approve.
Yep.
Right, the minutes from the reorganizational meeting of the Board of Education dated July 1st, 2024. Jimmy, second. Marky. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent, thank you. Do we have communications?
No, we do not.
No communications. Board of Education items, we had the NYSBA Leadership and Education Conference.
Oh,
Turn it over to Peter.
I sent a report to all of you. First of all, I want to thank the school for allowing me to go to that. It was interesting. It was provocative. I took a lot out of it, and I tried to summarize it in the memo that I sent to the board. What I found was they raised a lot of issues that we don't often get to talk about as school board members. And if you saw in the report that I sent, things like talking through teacher shortages and why do they exist, and attendance problems that school districts have. Why are those happening? What are the trends going on nationally? I'm not sure what the forum is for us to have those conversations, but I think down the road, it would be good for us to find opportunities as a team. Joe and the staff are working hard on all of that, and we seem to be going along pretty well. But where are the weak spots, or where are things that maybe the staff think we should be paying attention to? Are there ways that we could be more supportive of the administrative team and the teaching staff to make sure we solve some of the problems and the issues, not always problems, but challenges that so many other schools are facing. But I just found that they opened my head to, just when I thought I knew everything going on in a school, there's a whole lot more. And I think we as a board would do well to educate ourselves on some of those issues. But a good opportunity. You've got all the links to the workshops that we went to. If anybody has any questions from what they saw, I'll be happy to answer them. But I don't want to go through the whole report.
Yeah. I like this. It's good to know we're not the only district that's saying about them. Challenges.
One of the answers to the question you just posed is going to those things is a great opportunity. So as we go to New York, we'll have windshield time. We'll have time to talk about some of that stuff. Those are great opportunities to continue the conversation and bridge between them as we partake in more of those type of things.
It gives us a chance to know how each other think on some of those, and that's important to have. Thank you.
Any questions? Move along. Consideration of additional items for the agenda.
That's for the board to throw anything
That's
out.
for us. Negatives? No. Assignment of action
I don't
items.
think I've ever had one of those.
Okay,
I would say, is that new?
action complete then.
No.
Okay, on to reports. We're gonna have Project Aware.
Jan,
Present from over here, okay?
what's that? Yeah?
Okay,
Oh,
Do your thing.
all right.
Unless you want to dance on the table up here.
please don't. We're live.
It would
set the precedent for who follows you.
Welcome, for those of you that are that don't know me, my name is Jan Storian. I'm the program director for the Project Aware program. I began last November, and we're starting our second year of this 5-year cycle for Project Aware. And Project Aware is advancing wellness and resilience in education. I know some of you are very familiar with it, but we want to provide an update tonight to let you know what we've done for the last year and where we're headed for 24-25. Can we go to please, gotcha. Yep, thank you. So again, it's a 5-year grant, federal grant, roughly $1.26 million per year. It does increase incrementally each year. We are, as part of our grant, this 5-year cycle, we have, one of the requirements was to have a partner school. We're partnering with Lansingburg. They've been, as has Rensselaer School District, from Joe to the business office of Megan and Stephen, Shaylin and everyone, have been incredible champions for Project Aware. Our partners at Lansingburg have been incredible partners with us. We also work very closely with State Education Department, Office of Mental Health, Brockport Research Institute, who kind of guides us and also evaluates our program. We're the only school in New York State awarded one of the 25 federal awards through the SAMHSA grants. As I said, I'm the project director, and along with our team, our mental health curriculum developer, and our staff, we've increased our staff since I last spoke. And our goal is to meet the grant deliverables, develop Project Aware into a state model and training center. And really, what we're really trying to accomplish is it's a grant that is ideally designed to reduce the suicide rates. The suicidality rates in Rensselaer County are much higher than New York State, especially for students, LGBTQ community, and other subgroups. So the overall goal of the program is to reduce suicide rates. What we're really trying to do is get programs, one is to get programs available and accessible to students and families, and secondly, provide professional development training for staff members. So our goals is really to provide evidence-based mental health, training to staff, school staff, families, and students, increase identification through using screening tools, and refer students to agencies to get that direct support, increase outreach and engagement of school-age youth and their families, and eventually is to develop a sustainable infrastructure. So at the end of the 5-year grant, we're looking at how we can replicate programs. A lot of what we found is developing relationships with community partners. There is no fee involved, there's no charges. It's just developing those relationships and then bringing those programs in. And the second piece would be looking at grants to support. So we have a lot of people that work with us that can help us down the road eventually to write grants that can hopefully sustain some of the programs that we implement. As I mentioned, I'm the program director. We've hired, since November of 2023, Ryan Kelly, Community Project Manager. He's shared between both schools. Susan Albion, who's a mental health trainer and curriculum developer, she's also shared between both schools. Ryan is focusing a lot on mentoring programs. He's going to be creating a reverse mentoring program next year where students mentor adults in the school. He's also been in charge of providing and organizing trainings that have taken place, youth mental health first aid training and teen mental health first aid training. Susan is working on a suicide policy. I'll talk about that in just a moment. That'll be shared between both districts. She's also created, it's probably at 30 pages now, a youth resiliency toolkit. That is one of the grant deliverables that we will be sharing out with schools, not only locally but across the state. By the end of the grant in 5 years, 126 schools across the state will be sharing that, kind of what we learned, how we did it, what resources we used, and what are best practices to implement sustainable systemic mental health programs in schools. Karina Pelkey we hired, she's at Lansingburg, she's a behavioral specialist. She pushes into classrooms and supports students and teachers to work on behavioral strategies to help students regulate when they're dysregulated in the classroom setting. And she also does training with teachers on social emotional learning. We've hired Jolene Alicio Dresser, who just began with us as a restorative practices specialist. And she's full-time every day here at Rensselaer City School District. Jolene is here tonight, and I'll let her do a quick introduction.
Hi, so my name is Jolene. Typically, I know my last name can be a little intimidating, so I go by Miss Lal. I have some, because this is kind of a new position, so people are like, well, what does a restorative justice coordinator do? So Shaylin printed some pretty color copies of some things that I'm going to be doing with the students and with staff, really focusing on, instead of just, consequences, it's really learning from our behaviors and making sure that our students are feeling welcomed and seen inside of the classroom. I also we went to a training earlier this week, so these are fresh off of that training. Would you like one? And it's just some ideas for teachers if they are working with students that seem to be escalated, some de-escalation strategies, questions to probe, and just to help in the classroom. So, thank you.
So welcome, Jolene. Jolene is over 10 years of experience teaching. She came from Van Antwerp Middle School, where she was an ELA teacher, but also she was implementing restorative practices, restorative circles in the middle level building there. So we're really excited to have her on board. The highlights For AWARE, I want to go over some highlights this year from November to currently right through the summer. In fact, it was, as Jolene mentioned, on the 27th of August, we completed another training. We put in place our first Project AWARE Summer Institute. It's a summer teacher training institute. The professional development that we provided are drug impairment training for educational professionals. That was a 2-day training. We had close to, I think, over 20 participants from both school districts. That was led by the New York State Police. Again, these are all our community partners that you see here that are working with us. At the end of that 2-day training, staff members that have a certificate, they can become more aware of drug potential, students who are impaired, as well as conduct assessments if needed to determine if students may be under the influence. It's great for knowledge level, but also we're really very excited about that, having that knowledge base in the school building. We did a 2-day resilience in education training. Ryan Kelly and Susan Albion, who aren't here tonight, and Joe Otter from Lansingburg. He is my counterpart at Lansingburg. They did a tremendous job putting this together. It was resilience training. It was trauma-informed training, social-emotional learning training. This was 2 full days. Again, we had over 20 teachers. John Rice is partnering. He's an expert in restorative practice from the Office of Mental Health. And Carrie Manchester, who basically wrote the a model for NICED, came in and presented as well on how to implement these procedures in the classroom setting, how to combine the academics with the social, emotional, and emotional support for students. Amy's back there, and Jillian Hines, one of our school psychologists, conducted a 4-day therapeutic crisis intervention training. That's de-escalation strategies, mostly training. We did a 2-day restorative path towards greater connection, curiosity, and confidence entitled Serving from the Inside Out. That was John Rice from the Office of Mental Health. We conducted youth mental health first aid for new employees. That was on this past Monday. As a side note, we also, through the grant, trained over 95% of the Lansingburg City School District staff members. They gave us an entire day of training over there on youth mental health first aid. This is signs of suicide, what to look for, how to support students. So over 95% of their staff went through the training. Our staff here at Rensselaer, before I came on board in the Project AWARE program, have been trained as well. And we'll train all our new staff as they come aboard. And lastly, fostering empathy and support for LGBTQ students. This was Nathaniel Gray from the Pride Center. He's a director of the Pride Center. That was also conducted this Monday. And rave reviews on that. I spoke to some of the participants. We had over 10 participants for that. And Nathaniel is certainly a partner of ours in the Pride Center. So that's what we've done. Professional development-wise in the Summer Institute, and as I said, there were a total of 32 individual joint between Lansingburg and Rensselaer training opportunities from many of our community partners. Where we're heading for 24-25, we mentioned restorative practices specialists. That is Jolene, and also Justin Simon was hired over at Lansingburg. The benefits of restorative practices: decrease suspension rates, improve school climate, reduce incidents of bullying, and fosters belonging in school, all of which support students with trauma in their background. This is from the International Institute of Restorative Practices. That's really John Rice, who will be coaching and mentoring Jolene and Justin, is one of the founding members of the International Institute. We'll be accessing their support along the way for that position. Our new programs, Rensselaer Connects. This is a full-time position for Rensselaer School Districts. We have a caseworker from St. Catherine's. It's a family engagement specialist. We're entitling the program Rensselaer Connects, connecting families to services in the communities. They will participate in our weekly pupil personnel meetings every Thursday. They will be here at school. They'll be out in the community. They'll be working after school and weekends with our students and families to support them to ensure that they can access and engage in services outside of school. We have a St. Anne's program that we began last year. I'll continue this year. They work with our alternative ed students, roughly 25 students in that program. They provide weekly group counseling, individual counseling, and specific evaluations as needed to determine if students need a higher level of support in the community. That program is running last year. I'll continue this year. We have we've started, we're very excited about this. Albany County has had for years a LGBTQ plus youth group. They have probably 50 to 70 members participants that attend. We began this on a trial basis this year. We're going to be, we just put the flyer out. It's going to be on our website, and we're going to get the news out. But this is a youth group run by the Pride Center, so supported by the Pride Center. They will meet with families. They'll do a family component if families have questions. How do I speak to my student? What should I know? What are the best ways to support my student? And it's also a safe place where students can go and meet, have fun. There's food involved. There's some group sessions they do, some group activities and so forth. That will be held to start with at the Lansingburg Boys and Girls Club. It was held at the Rensselaer Boys and Girls Club over the summer. We have a Rensselaer County Department of Mental Health person who we are contracting with. That position was part-time last year. Some of you know Teresa DeArchangelis. That position is restored to full-time this year. She runs Too Good for Drugs, Too Good for Violence youth groups and supports Bob's Saturday morning program, restorative program. We have the START Center who works with students with chronic absenteeism. That began before I came aboard. We're continuing that as well. We will be training teen mental health first aid. This is a grant deliverable. In our health classes for 10th graders this year, we'll be providing in Lansingburg, the teen mental health first aid training. So this is helping students to become aware of signs of suicide. This is an evidence-based program, and we are working with Mahaney's, who is a local agency that supports mental health of individuals, and they are helping, and we've had our own individual staff members trained in this. We're contracting with Behavioral Health Works. They have screeners that will help us to identify students with specific needs, mental health related needs, and we're contracting with them and looking to put the Behavioral Health Works program in place for this school year. We have what's called the Unite Us platform. This is a platform that parents, students, families can be referred to. They conduct social determinants of health, so they look at needs of the family. Is there housing needs, legal needs, clothing needs, but also mental health needs. This is a referral system that's used throughout New York State. It's a free service to us, and we're going to be accessing that platform. We're working out some of the details of that, but we have a contract with them, and it would mean that a family could be referred to Unite Us if we don't have a program in-house to support a student. And then they have a network of support where they will go out and they will find the resource the family needs, and they will communicate, close the loop with the school staff. We've contracted with Charlie Health. Actually, Charlie Health is a virtual mental health referral. I think last time I presented, there was a concern about services for families. Charlie Health has no waiting list. We've already used them this past school year. Lansingburg is using them as well. This is insurance-based. They take pretty much all insurances, and there is no waiting list. So if a student ages 13 to ages 13, I think 33 is where their niche is. You can get virtual mental health support services and counseling for a family. I mentioned the reverse mentoring program. I can share out that when Ryan gets that up and running this year. The idea is that students mentor faculty. Ryan began a youth group this year in Rensselaer, so we have our own youth group here in the school, and that's going to be kind of the go-to group that's going to be leading out on that. There's something called the Ripple Effect curriculum we're going to pilot over in Lansingburg that helps students to regulate in the classroom. It helps students to do some reflection in the classroom. There is a lot of research on social emotional learning in the classroom, similar to restorative practices, decreases negative behaviors, increases engagement of students, creates a better school climate and belongingness and so forth. So we're piloting all these programs to see what the best practices are, and then each year we kind of determine what we're going to continue, where we need to change, or where the needs may lie. And lastly, the St. Anne's Bridgeback program at Lansingburg. We've already started this program over the summer. This is an intensive program to work with a small number of families in Lansingburg that have really chronic attendance. They have a caseworker that's going to go out to the home and begin building a bridge back to the school in order to slowly bring those students that are really have chronic absenteeism, back into the school building. And we're going to pilot that program this year. A lot of these are very small cost in the scope of the budget. Some, like John Rice from the Office of Mental Health, is a free resource. He's offered his services to mentor and coach Jolene and Justin and kind of help us create the model for restorative practices. Really, no one else is doing this, certainly in the area or to the extent that we will be doing it. Unite Us platform is also no cost. The St. Anne's program is a very small cost, and we're hoping that this is a very effective program, and if so, we would look to replicate it in Rensselaer. So that's Project Aware so far for 24-25, and as I said, can't say enough about the support, administrative, Don, Jeff, Bob, Amy, and the whole entire team here have been incredible in supporting, and these, a lot of words, a lot of programs, but a lot of hard work on the part of our team, Ryan and Susan, Amy, and the PPS staff, and our administrative team who is really supporting and helping us organize and get these off the ground.
Thanks. Just real quick, when you started out, you mentioned how high Rensselaer County's suicide rate is as opposed to the state. Do you have numbers on that? I haven't heard anything.
At my last presentation I did, but I can get you the numbers. That was part of the substantiation for the grant is identifying disparities that you have. So Rensselaer County, now again, that's not just Rensselaer School District or Lansing.
I understand.
It's Rensselaer County. But I have that information and we can share that, what we submitted to actually secure the grant.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Jen, two things, and I'll be brief, but I'm totally into networking, and you just did my ADD disservice. This blew me away. So compliments on the networking and getting the resources going. Question I had listened to is how is this being sold to, presented to the kids? What do the kids know about it, and how we share that with them?
So it started, slowly because we were just getting our feet on the ground and hiring. But as I said, we started a youth group. Our office is located out in the hallways in the school, so we had, mental health. So kids are coming into our office now because they're part of the youth group. Faculty are coming in because they know that we're there. The Summer Institute helped, for example, Jolene attended a couple of the conferences. The Summer Institute allowed our faculty to get to know our team much better, more intimate with the training. We're going to have more student training like the Teen Youth Mental Health training. Last year we had Mental Health Awareness Month, Mental Health Awareness Week, where we brought a lot of students in that participated in our activities. We had swag and things like that. We have the little wristbands and the giveaways, and so kids know who we are. They're talking about the Project Aware program, and part of our grant deliverable is to involve more students and families, and we know that's a little bit of a challenge, but we're kind of mapping out a plan to do that. But there's a youth group at the Lansingburg School as well that is also involved in sharing out these, what Project Aware is about and what we're doing. Obviously, the St. Anne's program with our alt-ed students, the advanced program, they're very aware of it. They're here on a regular basis each week, the St. Anne's team.
I might just expand the answer a little bit too, in that a lot of those connections or resources are for, students that we're observing are struggling, right? So we have a system in our PPS department where we take referrals from teachers, from parents, from staff, and then we as a team, we problem solve around that, and we look at all of those resources and match the students with those needs. So we have a system internally where we really try to funnel all of those kids in the right direction to those resources, and that's a lot of very personal contact with parents and families and kids to kind of explain to them what it is and how it can be beneficial to them. So that's kind of another layer of how we kind of make that connection.
And then we had the Rensselaer Rams, which is an LGBTQ support group, and that's going to be reinvigorated this year. And the kids that, the team that worked with the students, we've been reaching out to them. They've been reaching out to the students to talk to them about the youth group. So there's a lot of positive momentum for the youth group. So there's another way in which you reached out to the kids. It's exciting though, they're coming to the office and they're popping in and they're looking for food and other stuff, that they know where we are and we're building relationships, which really is at the heart of what we're trying to do.
Thank you. Megan?
Hi, everybody. So the external auditors of the financial statements completed their field work August 9th. So we are working to finalize the financial statement report, and that presentation will be made by the partner from the firm, Jason Mara, who had sent some emails in October. So annually, the auditors will present in October, both Jason Mara from Cusack & Company for financial statement audit, as well as Mike Wolf for our claim audit. They will both do a report, give you some highlights, and talk about the financial status of the district as they've seen it, as they've audited it. So that will be more in-depth and detail in October. Capital project updates. So as you may or may not have noticed, there is a project going on over at the stair tower by the loading dock. This, as we intended, is a pilot program for what will hopefully be a much larger capital project for the entire building, all 288,000 square feet. And the whole idea is to really peel back that EFIS, which is exterior insulation and finish, and the brick that's there, to find out exactly how much moisture is sitting in that EFIS. Because unfortunately we found that when this building was built, there were some corners that were cut and there wasn't wrapping that was done that should have been done on the substrate, the concrete substrate, which is what the exposed piece that you saw. I think Joe forwarded you some of the pictures that I took outside. That's that yellow color. The EFIS was adhered to the substrate directly, which if you took a look at the pictures, you might want to go back now that I'm talking about it. It's the white, almost looks like glue, just like what it is, because the EFIS was pulled off, and then the adhesive had, of course, taken, the EFIS came off, but there's still some that was stuck on there, the adhesive. All of that has been removed as well, all of the glue, because it's important for the integrity of the building and to ensure that when what's called peel and stick goes on the substrate, it is impenetrable from water. The good news is that structurally there is no damage and that it is solid, so we can proceed with removing the EFIS and removing the brick and putting up the peel and stick, which is the terminology for the item that's going to go on the substrate, and followed by some edge metal, so that we no longer have water. The guys that were pulling off the EFIS, first of all, they're so unfamiliar with EFIS, because EFIS is something that, and so just to give you a visual, the EFIS is that bowling alley colors on the building, so it's like that pink, the yellow, the blue, it's a 1980s bowling alley. That's the EFIS. So, and then it's got the brick overlay underneath.
Split up Brunswick.
So that's what was coming off, and the guys they're not used to it, because this is stuff that you put on buildings that are meant to be just for maybe 15, 20 years. Maybe you have a box store, a retail store that goes up, and you put this EFIS on because, in 15, 20 years, they're either gonna change their colors, they're gonna change their style, or there's gonna be a different store in there. Or it's very popular in the Southwest, where it's very dry, it's a dry heat. It is not meant for school buildings where you want something to last at least 50 years. And in an area in the Northeast where we get so much water and precipitation and everything.
Water, snow, that doesn't happen.
Yes, exactly. And we started with this side of the building by the auditoriums and the gyms, because we're seeing the most inside impact. And you can see it even on the outside too, where you can see where there is water, there's this effervescence that's coming out of the wall that looks white. That's where the most damage is. It's where we wanted to start. This is funded, this pilot project is funded by American Rescue Plan stimulus funding, with the intent to go out at a capital project, which requires a significant amount of preparation and planning, and we involve which our architects, of course, are involved in this project, but we involve our architects, a construction manager, which I'll talk about that in a little bit, and financial advisors. There's a lot of people that get involved, and then it actually will go out to vote to the taxpayers to approve it, because they will have to approve us for some funding. So on the funding note, and you're gonna get more details about the scope of the project and the funding in September. So I don't wanna steal the thunder of the people that are going to be coming to do the presentation, our financial advisor, Ben Maslona from Fiscal Advisors, and Scott Duell, who's our architect from BCA. They're gonna be doing a very thorough presentation for you in September, talking about the scope, what the design's gonna look like, the ephes, the roof. We're wrapping up some of the sidewalks in there too. Some of our sidewalks have really been compromised too by water. Water gets in and does a lot of damage. So they're gonna go into some detail on that. But essentially, we'll be using to fund this. We'll, of course, have to go out to secure a bond. But then the other thing that we did in May was we asked the voters if we could put aside some money for the capital reserve. Well, the capital reserve in October, you'll hear about what that's looking like on the financial statements. But the capital reserve will now be used to help fund this project. So its intent and its purpose is being utilized within a year of establishing it because we knew that this was coming. And then we have a little bit of what's called Excel aid. This aid is like, probably 15, 20 years old at least. This is very old aid that was not used by our district because it was for capital projects. And when the aid came out, we had a brand new building. We didn't need that. Now we need it. So fortunately, we'll be able to use that Excel aid. And the timing of taking on debt also allows us to maintain a level tax cap. Because when you take on debt, it has a direct impact on the tax cap calculation, which of course is the impact on the tax levy. So the timing is also appropriate because it will keep the tax cap level, the tax levy level for our taxpayers, which is something Joe and I have been talking about for years now, and we have finally achieved. So we don't want to steer off course from that. Timeline, I provided the timeline for all of you so you could see a high level of what that timeline looks like. Again, in September, you'll have a presentation, and then in October, we'll start looking at some board actions that you guys will have to take for something called seeker, for just to ensure that we're doing our due diligence with the land of the building and the infrastructure and everything, and authorizing the referendum for the vote. A legal notice will go out, we'll do a public campaign. The vote will be, the planned vote is for December 10th. And then hopefully all will go well, we'll get a positive vote, a yes vote. And then immediately in January, we'll start the design phase. But we probably won't see construction until the summer of 2026. So, and we have done that deliberately because when you are dealing with a project of this size, that could be upwards of $29 million. You have to take the time to plan it out, design it, and prepare it, do all the bids, and make sure that we're ready to go when construction time comes. The construction manager, so I did do an RFP for the construction management, which will be the owner's representative. So this person will represent Rensselaer City School District and what's best for us, and will be working extremely close with me and with Teresa Stasak, our property manager, in coordination with all of the consultants that I mentioned earlier, and making sure that everything is running smoothly. And hopefully there is very few change orders as possible. So that RFP went out August 2nd. We are having a site walkthrough for any construction management firm that's interested on September 5th. And the proposals are due back September 12th. We're gonna move quickly. Interviews will be September 19th. And then we'll have a selection made by September 23rd, which is unfortunately after the next board meeting. But I think by the time we get to the next board meeting, we'll be closer to knowing which firm we'll be going with. And then we'll probably contract with them, start setting up a contract so you guys can approve that in October. Okay, does anybody have questions? I threw a lot of information at you.
Total technical question, December 10th, is that driven by the state or is that something we pick?
That's something we chose. And as long as Rensselaer County Board of Elections is okay with it, which Shaylin already reached out to them, that was a choice. It is a Tuesday.
What color are we going with?
Blue, Rams blue.
Okay.
We're going Rams blue. Great question. Rams blue with a little bit of a creamy white, not like bright white, but creamy white.
I wanted lime green, but I got outvoted.
Well, all right, glad Joe's not in charge.
Wait a minute. The white is, who's cleaning that?
That's why I went with off-white, it was always like
Exactly,
a little
there's
bit.
a lot of it.
Yeah.
So,
All right, thank you, Megan.
my pleasure, thank you.
Terry?
Okay, I had sent you guys the copy of the, my end of the year budget for last year and the milk, the ice cream bid. So I just want to give you an overall look from last year. In order to comply with SCD's request to spend down our excess fund balance that we've had, we purchased some new equipment and hired staff to help improve the kitchen. The plan was originally to spend down $224,400. So far, last year, we spent $98,628. As of 8/14, we had spent, our expenses for last year, our overall total expenses for last year was $1,035,502, the highest it's been. And revenue was only $962,204. So we actually took the loss of $73,297, but that's taking into account the $98,000 I had to spend. So technically, we made $25,000. But we still have to spend down more money from our excess fund balance. And for those of you who don't know, the excess fund balance is the amount over the 3 months supply of funds I need to operate the food service department. So anything over what they determine the 3 month supply is excess fund. And they want you to reincorporate it into the business. So we are doing that. We still have some equipment to purchase. We're getting another combi oven, and we're gonna be getting some new furniture for the high school cafeteria, things like that. So we're hopefully gonna be doing that by December, picking those things out. We also had, with that being said, we were still, our expenses were still getting higher than our reimbursements were declining because the enrollment was declining. So we were just fortunate enough that we still had a little extra money from the COVID aid that we had to make up that difference. Last year, I think we got like 35,000, so we only made 24. We actually would have lost money last year if we didn't have the extra COVID aid. So looking forward, we had one staff member that decided not to come back. She wanted to stay where she lives and be close to her kids. So we're not filling that position. So we rearranged our staff scheduling to accommodate that. We have modified a couple of our programs that we have. We have our fresh fruit and vegetable program. We're only required to offer it 2 days a week, but I've been trying to get it, 4 or 5 days a week. So we're gonna cut back to 3 and have the staff share the load for prepping and serving it out. And one of the things that she did was the after-school snack program. She stayed to deliver the after-school snack program to all the classrooms that were having programs. We're changing it back to the way we used to do it, where the programs came and picked up their own bags, which will save a lot of empty labor time that we were using just to modify that. So we're looking to do that. And let's see, and we just wanted to, and we wanted to surplus because some of that new equipment we just got in this past week. I ordered them way back in like May, and so the purchase order got moved over to this year because of the expense for it. We got a new standing refrigerator and freezer. And so we are surplusing the old one, but we may hold on to the refrigerator for a little longer because we might use that for after-school snack. So otherwise, we'll sell the equipment and go for that. So there'll be some more equipment surplusing as we go on with moving things around in the kitchen. So, and that's what I have.
Well, thank you. Jeff? Yeah, good job. Are we supposed to clap?
Yeah, just a few quick things from me, and I do see on the screen there, apparently I went back a year since 2023 on there, but. All good though. In any case, just wanted to kind of recognize another successful summer enrichment program. I want to say about 85, 90 kids attend. Really went well, really truly, probably the best year of enrichment, just seeing the different projects and different things that the classes were doing. So kids really seem to enjoy it, but also the adults as well, which is always nice to see. And I won't name them all, but I want to recognize the teachers and staff members that did work the summer program. Yes, of course, they're paid to do it, but it's also a sacrifice on their part. And obviously, without that sacrifice, we don't have a program. So very successful. Earlier today, we had our pre-K orientation and kindergarten orientation, well attended by the families. Just an opportunity to come in, kind of tour the school if they're new, certainly meet their classroom teachers, see the classrooms. For pre-K, they get to ride the bus as well, so they have that bus experience. So well attended. A reminder to everyone that tomorrow parents and families can drop off school supplies. I want to say 12:30 to 2 o'clock, which has been nice the last few years. Get hopefully less kids being weighed down with book bags and school supplies by having that opportunity. I want to recognize our maintenance department. I'm sure Joe did earlier today, but with summer programming going as deep as it went into the summer, it was quite a turnaround and a feat for them to do that. My understanding is a lot of extra hours and perhaps working over weekends and different things, like a lot on them for us to open up, considering the length of our summer programming. And then I'd also like to recognize we have a few teachers that are moving on to different opportunities. We have Ryan Dabrowski, Maria Rowe, and Anna Bruno moving on to different opportunities. Certainly wish them luck, but want to thank them for their service the last few years. And then just make sure everyone is aware that Dave Martin will be assuming the role of elementary dean of students. Dave said today this is his 20th year. He's a fixture in the community, so I think he'll be a nice resource for everyone as we move forward. And then finally, you can see the last bullet. Just want to recognize Amy, great teammate the last few years, instrumental in our implementation of a lot of our programs. So wish her luck, but certainly won't miss her. Thank you, Amy. And that's all I have.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Tom and Bob.
So we'll do, Sylvia, we'll do the presentation. So ours, and we'll kind of go from there. So our presentation starts, we had a cell phone policy in place. What we noticed is our students still struggling with a healthy relationship with the phones in general. I think it's, it's obviously all over the news and stuff like that. I don't think we're alone in that. And so we got together and met, we worked with school improvement, had a handful of teachers that were instrumental in helping us kind of come up with what we thought would really help our kids out, you know what I mean? So I'll take you through this presentation. Yonder is not a replacement for the cell phone policy, it's just kind of like an addition to kind of help with the policy. So Bob will take us through the first couple.
As you can see, Yonder is in several venues at this time, schools, theater, comedy. I even got an invitation for a cousin's wedding, and they mentioned in the invitation there will be a distraction-free environment for the wedding, so you had to lock up your phones. So I thought that was pretty cool. Looking at the research, how many hours does a teenager spend on their phone? You have a clip, Sylvia?
That surprised me.
8 hours, over 8 hours a day. Yep, next slide. And how many years of your life will you spend on your phone? 22 years. Our goal with this is a distraction-free environment with an emphasis on school learning. You can see over 1,500 schools and agencies are now using Yonder. That's just a few of them.
All right, so this is kind of statistics that they shared with us while we were making the decision. 65% saw an improvement in academic performance. 74% saw an improvement in student behavior, and 83% saw an improvement in student engagement in the classroom. Rates of teens depression and suicide have skyrocketed since 2021. I know when Jan first came in, we actually had conversations about Yonder before we were able to move into this process, because I think it helps out with just the mental health for our students. So the process, here's what it is. Everyone receives a Yonder pouch. So when a student comes in, they'll either turn their phone off or put it in airplane mode. They'll put it into the pouch. The pouch locks at the top. It's a magnetic locking mechanism. And then they keep the phone in the pouch with them. It's in their possession the whole time. But they just don't have access to it in the classroom and stuff like that. So it allows the phone to be on them in their book bag or wherever they decide to house it, but it's not a distraction in the classroom, it's not a distraction in the hallway or wherever else we look. Yep, give me 1 second. So go ahead, Bob.
That's all electronics, watches, smartwatches, earphones, everything will go into the Yonder
I was
pouch.
gonna ask that question, because they'll find the loophole.
Yes.
Use my watch, my AirPods, you can't stop it.
Yeah, so it's all in. So one-to-one signs, like we said, everyone gets one, so it's a tier 1 intervention because it's for all students. So that is what they look like. It's with that top flap opens up, there's like you push on the black little button at the top there, and it goes from one side to the other, and that's when it locks. When it does lock, it's a heavy-duty magnet in order to unlock it. They provide us with like 10 locking stations that we'll put throughout the building. What happens is they're mounted to the walls, and then the magnet part can go on and off of the locking station. So obviously we don't have them out during the day. We have a couple in the office for anybody that may need to leave or go somewhere, and then they're out as we exit the building, and a student just comes by, taps it on the magnet, opens it up, their phone comes out. They take the pouch home with them. It's their responsibility to bring it back and forth each day, and then when they come back in the next day, they're just putting it in the pouch and going from there. We're obviously going to probably run into a situation where somebody has 2 phones. They got one in the pouch and one outside the pouch. So this is kind of where the phone policy stays the same, right? So it will be, if we see that, we're going to confiscate the phone. We're going to keep it in the office, contact the parent. They may have to come in and get the phone. If it turns out to be an issue with that, and they're not putting the phone in the pouch, we're going to have like a phone locker type of thing, where we'll have them come in, they'll have to give it to us, they'll put it in the locker, and then we'll give it to them as they leave if they're not able to kind of handle the responsibility of the phone. So I know parents' questions will be, what do we do in emergency? We do the same thing that we did when I kind of grew up, right? So if there's any emergencies, contact the main office. They get right in contact with a teacher in the classroom, and we get them access to whatever they need from their students. So pouches are kept by the students at all times. If they lose or destroy a pouch, they can purchase a new one. If they don't want to do that, then we kind of go to the locker portion for their phone.
How much are these pouches?
So they're $30 a piece. So if you look at the bottom, what about smartwatches and headphones? They should be in the pouch also. I did have a couple questions. We do have Velcro pouches also. We have a couple students that have a medical condition that they may have to have access to their phone and may monitor something that they have. They would receive a Velcro pouch, they could get access to the phone in an emergency or something like that. We also will be getting Velcro pouches for the teachers so they can model what we're looking for in the classroom. So the teachers will have cell phones in the pouch to model it for the students in the classroom. So we're thinking it's, go ahead, questions?
So my question would be
Yes.
logistically
Yeah.
for the rollout.
Yes,
Obviously, as they come in, it's gonna cause lines,
yeah,
chaos,
yeah,
things like that.
yeah, so,
Is there a way to get more of those, like, locking mounts and then kind of do it in like a homeroom? You come in, lock it up in homeroom.
there definitely is. We are in the process of getting more of the locking mounts. So what we'll have is we talked with transportation. So when we have students come up, we have about 3 to 4 aides assigned to each entrance into the building. So like, as a bus drops off, the aides are gonna be there, they're gonna open the door, the kids are gonna come right in, so it'll be, the 4 aides there, and they'll have unlocking stations. If somebody did lock it, and they needed to get it open to put their phone in, and they'll also be there to, anybody who has it's just showing it on the way in, boom, boom, boom. If you didn't have it, we're just having them step to the side, and then we take them down to the office afterwards. So, I agree with you, we're gonna,
Especially in the
hopefully it
beginning.
goes smooth,
Yeah.
but if it doesn't, then we're definitely gonna have to regroup and try to come up with a plan, yes.
Are you saying this is possibly, kids are gonna be like, this isn't worth bringing my phone to school?
That wouldn't be a bad idea either.
Why do it?
Will they have access at lunchtime?
No,
So I can speak to, the entry and whatnot. Jason Adams, our instructional tech specialist, and I visited Bethlehem Central Schools. They were one of the first in the area to implement this. So we actually went there and watched their arrival process. And they did have a bunch of the magnets mounted on the walls, like 6 of them in one of the entrances. I figure we'd probably do something similar.
yeah.
And they had the aides or teachers or staff, whoever that was assigned for those arrivals, to actually watch the kids go to the magnets to unlock their pouch and put their devices in. They said that in the beginning, like the first week or two, it was a little clunky, but like once they got into the swing of things, it was natural for the kids, for the staff, and it kind of smoothed out. So, to your point, I think it'll probably be difficult in the first week or
Yeah,
two.
your first 2
Expecting
weeks.
some bumps in the road to start.
Absolutely. You're gonna have the revolters in the beginning. I'm not putting my phone in there.
And they're gonna be all new.
Well,
I've been on it all summer.
Luckily, I wasn't one of those kids. I would have just said, "Here's my phone."
My phone was attached to the wall.
I would have had my second phone.
Yeah, we had pagers back in my days.
Listen, when I started at high school, we still had the payphone in the high school. That was
Yeah.
that was where you met up to, trade Pokemon cards or whatever. That's what we did.
Giving away your secrets.
What's the rollout on this time-wise?
Yep, so we were hoping to have it for the very beginning of the school year. We won't have them for the first day. The projected rollout is September 9th, so the second week. So,
And it's for both junior and senior high school only, right?
yep, 6 through 12.
Gives you time the first week where you can kind of prep them and say.
Yeah, we'll meet and talk about it the first week, so they're prepared for it when they do. And then we'll meet again that second week to have, a big assembly to hand out the pouches and stuff like that.
Will the first day be recorded and live streamed on YouTube?
We're gonna have you come in that day off.
Listen, I put the hat and the whistle on. I'll tell them to run.
We're not doing live stream, it's gonna be pay-per-view, it's gonna contribute toward the project.
It's like, oh, hey, what?
Celebrity death match from back in the day. Okay, any other questions,
Other questions on that?
folks? Okay.
So that gets updated in our policy, and then I didn't have it on my thing, but we're remiss to not thank Amy for everything that she's kind of done for the district, so we wish her the best. So, thanks, Jeff.
Hey, and he thanked her in 2024, not 2023. Just throwing that out. Just throwing that out.
You're ahead of the curve.
I was glad though.
He had a preparation on it, started, no worries. Okay, Amy?
So, a couple of quick things. We have one special ed teacher that we still need to hire, that Maria Rowe that Jeff thanked for her service. She resigned from her position, so we are still looking for a special ed teacher. We do still have some aide positions to fill, so we are still working hard on that. But importantly, we did find a special ed director replacement for me. So Danielle Rensselaer here, I wanted to give her a warm welcome and kind of a handoff. She's someone that I've worked with for some time. We definitely share students. She's the principal at George Washington School across our BOCE. So we've had the opportunity to work through some things over the years that I've actually, even prior to coming to Rensselaer, I worked with her when I was in Troy too. So I know Danielle well, and I'm really feeling happy that she is coming in as the new director because I feel confident she's going to be a good fit, and she'll be able to complete the role, and she'll bring different skills and things to the position, and so I'm really happy to introduce her to you all. I will, of course, yeah, thank you, Amy. Of course, I will miss you all, and I already cried this morning when I was talking to the staff in the opening remarks there, but it's really been a pleasure to get to know all of you in Rensselaer, and I kind of feel like, you know, that's one of the nice things about working in such a small district is I've gotten to interface with people in much deeper ways than I, you know, have experienced at other points in my career. You on the board, everyone from aides to business office to, it's just truly a special place in that regard, and I've really appreciated all the opportunities to work with folks here. So I'm gonna leave it there before we get choked up again.
We do have tissues.
Single ply though.
I wanted to really say a thank you. Our extended school year programming went off again this year quite well, and I want to say with a lot of independence from the staff. It's been a very busy summer, and as you know, we had a lot going on in the building, so there were a lot of people doing a lot of different things. I was really grateful for Katie Bloomer, Chelsea Carbone, and Kristen Alonzo for choosing to teach summer school this summer, and the aides, Nancy Campbell, Jackie Leonard, Roseanne Brown, and then we had folks that came in as subs, which we needed all of them multiple times. That's Mrs. Shankar and Mrs. Kayla and Dylan Jones, and those are things that they didn't have to do, and they chose to work in the summer, and it was a great opportunity for our students with disabilities that needed some of that extra time and extra support. We had about 24 students participating, so that went very well. And I don't need to get into the Summer Institute with your Project Aware, because Jan did a great job. I forgot he was doing that, so I won't reiterate what he already said, but it was really great to see so much professional development getting pushed out this summer on all of those important topics that's gonna, you know, prepare our teachers to do good work with our kids. So big thank you to Jan for heading that up with Ryan and Susan. The next part of the presentation is really to give you all a little bit of an overview of the Medicaid audit. If you click on that, Sylvia, it should be linked there.
Yeah, it's not coming up as a link.
Oh, is this not?
Psych.
Hold on.
It's not.
Hold on, so maybe I can pull it up from my.
Sylvie, if you go to Q in new business on the agenda.
Sheila, save the
Is that
day.
what you were looking for, Amy, or was there an actual PowerPoint?
No, she had a PowerPoint presentation. I'm gonna share it with, Sylvia, can I share it with you now, can you?
Yes. Yeah. Might take a second.
I did. Absolutely. We're supposed to put me on the bus with them.
I can't look, it makes me dizzy.
Amy, can you see that up there, that email? the RCSD YouTube, can you share it with that account,
Oh, sorry.
please?
I'm sorry, I can't read it.
It's RCSD YouTube.
Yeah.
You can see that too? I can see.
But I'm 2 rows up.
Get rowdy up there.
I know.
I got the glasses. But we can still print it. All right, so let's put that up there.
So this one right here?
There we go. That. Problem solvers. Just gonna try to give you the high-level view here. So the audit was completed as part of the Office of the New York State Comptroller's Review of School Districts. It's something that they do as a part of a regular cycle of reviews with districts. It wasn't just Rensselaer, but then they chose to look, they're looking overall at how we're efficiently managing our finances and identifying ways that we can improve in our practices and procedures, particularly around revenue and money. And so in their review, they chose to kind of focus in on the Medicaid process. You can flip to the next screen. The mainstays of their findings were that we did not submit claims for all the Medicaid eligible services provided to Medicaid eligible students. So obviously that's not our whole student population, but for those that are Medicaid eligible, we're able to claim funding back from Medicaid for some of those services. And they indicated that there were procedural steps that could have been taken to maximize our district's claiming in order to obtain more revenue from Medicaid. That's kind of essentially the crux of it. So our response, we agree with them, first of all, that they, in the findings and the recommendations that, any opportunity that we have to maximize our revenue, obviously we want to be, taking strides to do that. But there is a little bit of context that I think if you're not in the field that you may not recognize around the process. The average reimbursement rate for Medicaid claims for districts, this is school districts claims, in the region is really about 60%. And that has to do with the complexity of claiming Medicaid services. I will not bore you with the details, but there are a lot of hoops and there is a lot of chasing down, not just in district, but actually particularly out of district that's required. So there's a balancing act that school districts do in terms of how much resources they put into trying to chase that versus do the work of educating students and meeting our requirements for providing them services. So our current reimbursement rate is 70%. So we are actually doing quite well comparatively. It is not realistic for school districts to be at 100% for Medicaid claims. That's not a realistic goal. 70% is actually pretty good. But we do have some good structures in place, but we definitely want to improve in the areas that we can, and we came to some good kind of findings as a result of that. Go to the next slide. Some of the key recommendations that the auditors gave to the district were to really establish those procedures to make sure all of that documentation that's required in order to meet the Medicaid claiming requirements for reimbursement are met. So really updating some of those procedures, making sure that we're reviewing the unclaimed services and submitting any eligible claims for reimbursement. So sometimes they're denied the first time around, then you get error reports, and you have to correct things, then go back. So they're saying, there were some things that we could do to improve that process, and correcting and resubmitting rejected claims for eligible services. Oh, sorry guys, it's really tiny, isn't it? So in our action plan for correcting and updating some of those procedures, we started some of that actually during the process of the audit, to be honest. When there's certain things came to light, we said, oh, we could fill that hole, we could do that a little bit differently and better. So some things we had already started. One of the requirements is that you have to get consent from parents, written consent from parents in order to claim the services that they're Medicaid eligible child is due. We can't just submit those claims. So that actually is a big part of the hurdle. Sometimes it's just getting that signature back. So some of the things that we did were including it now in our registration packets. So when kids, at least off the cuff, when they come into the district, we get consent. We also are sending it out when parents are referring their child initially for services, getting that Medicaid consent completed by the parent. So we kind of added a few more points of access to try to get parental consent so that that is not a barrier. That's one of the things that we've done. And we do have ongoing process, which the PPS secretary, Brenda Headley, has actually been really great about. She has a whole Google sheet. It's a part in her process. Every year when we come to meet on students with disabilities, if they don't have that consent, she's reaching out again and trying to get it when we send home the IEPs after interviews and things. So we have quite a number of places that we try to catch them. We also established a process for quarterly reviews with the Director of Pupil Services, doing some spot checking and reviewing certain records on our frontline system so that we can kind of confirm that some of these pieces, some of those pieces that have created barriers for getting reimbursement are being handled appropriately. So there's reviewing related service logs, verifying that we have all of our provider information in there correctly so that they can bill, we can bill for each of their services. We've got a lot of kids getting services from day programs where those are different providers. They rotate often. And so it is a very big and timely task to do that. But having some kind of more consistent checkpoints along the way, we think may help us to get a little bit more on top of those where we can. We also have really worked with our frontline system. We contract with them to do part of this Medicaid claiming process. And they had some changes in terms of their personnel and who did what. So we had a big sit down, this was back in May, and kind of really clearly identified, what do you do, what do we do, when do we do it, how do we communicate when there's something that's not matching up. So that was a really fruitful endeavor also. And the last piece was just making sure that our remittance reports are reviewed with the business office, that what Medicaid said they were gonna pay us, they actually did pay us. So that's kind of in a nutshell. Wow. Giving you a lot of beefy information here, so if you have any questions. That action plan was submitted in a little more detail to the comptroller's office. And another step that we thought may be helpful is just to provide you with some of those updates regularly. We want you to know that we do certainly take it seriously to do the best that we can to be good stewards of the finances here, and providing some report outs from those quarterly reviews at the board meetings might be a nice additional step to just give some feedback to you all. So I think that's the last slide. Somebody, is that it?
Yep.
Any questions?
Good luck to you.
Yeah.
It's been really nice.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. We thank you. And we wish you good luck in your next one behind Andrew there.
Andrew, with your. It's been a pleasure working with you too. Thank you.
Yes.
Jim stole my thunder, no. Just a comment, because I'd raised some questions when we first saw the report. Audit reports are never fun to get. They raise some things, and I just want to make a comment from here, hopefully I can speak for everyone, but that you approached it all in a systemic way. They raised process questions. I've been involved with the Medicaid stuff a little bit. It's ugly. And the fact that we're getting the reimbursement we are is commendable, and the work that was done to correct it and submit a corrective action plan, I think we should all feel good about. So thank you for that.
And it was
Thank you for
everything
breaking
else
it
you've done.
out.
Thank you so much.
Joe?
Peter, you should ask your other question, because there's an answer for it.
Oh,
Yeah, go for it.
thank you, Joe. I'm old enough to forget stuff.
Same.
The question I had was, are we also, it would be creative. Are we also looking at costs of transportation that can be reimbursed through Medicaid for transporting kids with IEP?
Yeah, so we looked at that. I know we had a number of back and forths about that. So
We actually do not transport any Medicaid eligible special education students that need special requirements for transportation.
Oh, it has to be
It's a
required
very
for
long
transportation
sentence to
solely.
say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Grammatically correct, precise.
Yeah, because they
So we
don't
know.
pay out for
So
a
now
lot
you
of
can
folks
say,
that,
I'm on top.
I guess.
So-
It's like we did
Trans,
this.
no, I'm in.
No.
Okay.
Yes.
The,
Thank
the very
There
specific
was
statement.
no stone left unturned from that audit.
Very good.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Megan. They looked
Oh,
at everything.
yeah.
She threw the stones
in
away.
Incredible detail over the course of years. So it was a high-level analysis, so I feel confident that if they didn't find it, there's not another piece there that we missed.
And to give you some context, I mean, we're talking about 0.1% of what our 35 is. This is 0.1%. They were basically looking for a needle in a haystack to find something to audit. And I'm glad that they found this because, to Amy's point, it is a process improvement they found. But to add a little bit more to that, we generally receive Medicaid revenue to the tune of anywhere between $170,000 and $200,000 a year. We had a significant decrease in 21-22, but we really felt that was COVID related. Because if you remember, during the 21-22 school year, we had a mixed bag as far as students in the building and the number of students in the building at the time. So then that changes contact hours related to Medicaid. So our revenue decreased. And then in 22-23, it decreased again to the tune of about $70,000. So what an auditor does is say, okay, what does last year look like? What does this year look like? And he can't find any discrepancies except for that. So when he's seeing that there's a decrease, and rightfully so, that's something that should be looked at, he went into extreme detail. I mean, that auditor was here, there were two auditors, and he was here from October 8th until, I think, March 3rd.
Wow.
And in that time, the first 2 months about was business office. I mean, it was me, my treasurer, Steve, payroll, accounts payable, Teresa Stasak for health insurance, all of that kind of stuff for 2 months. And then that's when he found Medicaid. And then the rest of the time, he was in the PPS office with Amy and Brenda. So it was an arduous process.
It was, and I want to highlight too, not only did the business office have a lot of work to do for him, the auditor, but really I want to say a thank you to Brenda Headley, who is not here, but she works really hard to be on top of these things, and the amount of paperwork that needed to be pulled and looked at and questions answered and then re-questioned again and again was a lot. It was a lot on top of her everyday job, so to speak. So she did a lot of work to go through that process and also working with me on the action plan. So I do want to thank her as being part of that process as well.
6 months, the auditor didn't find enough to pay a salary, I'm sure.
It's just, you beat me to it, Jim. I was gonna provide that context.
You are absolutely correct.
So in the grand scheme of things, we're appreciative that they found us more revenue, like that's what they found us, but they inevitably spent more money
Oh, yeah.
to figure that out than we will save. Just for context.
Should have gave the auditors a couch.
Sanity.
Would have cut down on some of the time they were
They're
here.
not even allowed to give them a coffee, I just wanna be clear.
You get comfortable here. They're very pleasant people to be around, so you get comfortable.
Ask Danielle, we
Nice
convinced her this
conference
summer.
If I may also just say what a pleasure it has been to work with Amy. It is rare to find PPS directors that are well-versed and well-educated on the financial side and actually educate themselves even more to ensure that they are doing their due diligence and what they need to do to make sure that the district is in good standing. And Amy's so communicative and always providing as much information as we need, and the first one that's willing to put together a Google sheet to put it all out there for everybody to know and for everybody to be on the same page. And I'm gonna start choking up and thinking about you leaving, Amy. You're gonna be very missed, very much. But I wish you
Oh my
luck.
God, the tissues, they're right there. Wait, I don't want to skip over Terry, because Terry's also.
I still got 4
Yeah, it
months.
sounds like you're gonna order a bunch of kitchen stuff and then head out. That's the timeline I'm looking at. She's ordering in December and subsequently leaving also
I
in
have to
December.
spend it by, I got extensions.
So you're like, here's some new stuff, toodles.
I was supposed to spend this before COVID, so they let me go and, you know.
All right, I didn't want Terry to be left out, because
We'll
we
give her-
appreciate her, and she's
she
very
comes every
fiscally
board meeting.
responsible.
Yeah.
Yes,
We have a few more board meetings.
with her too, but I didn't want to skip out, because she is on here too.
So my report, I have a few things just to highlight and say thanks for. There's no report to read, I'm just gonna tell you, we had more students in our building this summer than I have seen, and it might be the most we've ever had because of having all of our summer schools operating and hosting George Washington. I will say it was cool to see the school building used all summer. And then I will say there was a minor miracle that happened between when everyone vacated and this week. And the maintenance staff, we thanked them this morning, I've thanked them publicly. The maintenance and operations staff worked long days, worked weekend, worked a lot and it's amazing how much different this place looked in 2 weeks. So, big thanks to them, big thanks to Teresa for she was here all of those hours, watching them and helping them. And big thanks to all the teachers that were involved, being here all summer, keeping this place not vacant. Like, we're educating kids, that's what we're supposed to do, we have a building to do that. On top of that, we had camps going on, plenty of traffic coming through, it was almost as busy on the first floor as it is during the school year. Today is always my opening day, or the admin's opening day. I know we all think of when the kids get here as their opening day, but we prep to get everything ready for our staff so that it's a productive day. And I just want to say it felt good to see the smiles on the faces and to see the personalities roll back in and everybody want to hang out with each other. One of the cool things, I'm walking in and I get handed a staff day bingo. It was a Rams bingo card. And it's hilarious on there. I mean, it's picking on things we're definitely gonna say. It was good. Technical difficulties, model it. I don't like speaking in public. There were great things on there. And it speaks volumes to and thank you, Higgs, I assume you made it. I don't know who else, I know you handed it to me, but that doesn't mean, it speaks volumes to where we are as a culture, right? So we can definitely make sure that we're gonna have fun, and we're gonna show the kids how to have fun and learn. And I'm gonna tell you that our guest speaker today, Dr. Wortham, was actually wildly impressed by the exuberance of our staff on day one and the jovial approach we have to coming to work and doing what we do. So that felt good. There was a warm fuzzy today that I just wanted to share. And thanks to everybody for contributing, being bucket fillers and making sure it's a positive atmosphere. And I'm gonna miss Amy too. She broke my heart this summer when she told me she was leaving. Not that she surprised me, I'm just saying, when it became real, she broke my heart. I will miss you, we will miss you. You will do great things and we will work with you again one way or another. We'll figure it out. That's it for me.
Got things on now.
They're still rowdy. All right, so we are at invitation for visitors to address the board.
Good job.
These guys.
Yeah,
Okay. You want to talk?
you came for a reason.
Why are you whispering at me? Don't be shy. I also too don't speak well in public, so I understand.
It's about
Bingo.
Everybody's playing bingo. How about it?
If you want, we can all face the other way. Whatever makes it easier.
No?
We're really waiting for you to speak. Do you want to?
Do you have something? No, you don't?
Did you come to speak? No?
They just came because we're cool.
I thought you were gonna come advocate about the cell phones.
I thought so too.
You're
That
down
was
with
my
it?
best
You like
guess.
it? Are you excited for that? No?
Nobody's excited.
No.
Does it make
Okay.
sense, even though you don't like it?
Yeah,
That's,
that's fair, right?
you have to ask a more fair question. Nobody, you're not gonna be excited about it. That would be,
I don't know.
I would start questioning you if you were excited about it.
Just think about how many more years.
Well, maybe
you're
her
gonna
mom
get back.
texts her too much and she's just, like, hey, I don't want to talk to her for a couple hours. Cool beans.
It could be worse. You could have.
I have to send weird,
Mr. Pitt
I
just
send
take
weird
your phone
TikToks
just
to groups. She's probably
because,
semi-excited.
and then tell you to run on the court.
Okay, so,
Any other,
any other?
public comment?
What you got?
Real fast before we go, starting in September, just to give the board a little preview, Mary and I have been working over the summer, we're gonna be opening up a Ram Pride School Spirit store. So at all the sporting events, the PTA events, we're gonna aim for all the open houses, there's gonna be a giant rolling cart of t-shirts, pens, hats. We're working on fleece blankets, all sorts of Ram Pride School Spirit, so try to spread the word. We're gonna put out order forms, hopefully the parents in the coming weeks. We have special homecoming shirts for homecoming, pom-poms, all sorts of fun stuff coming out. So just try to spread the word as much as possible when you get that, because.
And don't be afraid to buy.
Two.
I don't want to.
Christmas cards, they make excellent Christmas presents.
Absolutely, we can custom.
I don't wear pants.
We have the machines.
And we're one of how many that can do cursed child, Andrew?
Oh yeah, so I'm taking over, I'm doing the drama club this year. And we're one of, I believe it was 29 schools selected in the continental United States to produce the new Harry Potter play. And that's on Broadway. So we're very, very excited this November to be one of the very first schools to be able to do that, so. Good job.
Now I have two
We're
questions.
the donation letter very carefully.
Marquis, got questions?
Now I have two questions. So first question, I don't want to give you too much work, but, so for the Ram Pride store, is that going to only be school events or any event that takes place at the school? As a youth coach myself, I have a lot of events that you can sell merchandise at. So I'd be more than willing to spread the word for Pop Warner.
Little League.
I'm all about the custom stuff.
So if you
Can
want
you put my face on a shirt?
I would put your face on a shirt.
Can we put Mr. Pitt on the back saying run?
Jones here to help us design that.
I'm gonna need a shirt for each coach I had, so I can look at it every day and just remember how much I ran for that person. There's one in this room, I won't point him out. Another one made my wife run a lot, but we won't talk about that. So I'm definitely interested in the store. Pop Warner would love to have it.
We're gonna have a baby
Yeah,
Ram
just send over
homecoming
dates
shirt.
and we can.
And it'd be good because it's right up there. so
Yeah, we're already here.
Yeah.
It gives parents a chance to buy some extra stuff too.
Yeah.
The classes and the fun sorts. We're hoping to get involved in the CDOS program to doing, and then all the classes are gonna work together to kind of fill orders and get things going. As soon as that goes.
The second question is in regards to the play. Congratulations, first off. Second of all, when is that gonna be again?
So it's the weekend before Thanksgiving, so I wanna say it's the 22nd to the 24th.
Perfect.
They are very good shows too.
Perfect. Listen, I
come to all of them.
I was
They
in
are really,
Greece
really
in
good
high
shows.
school, so, hopefully none of you go back and find the videos. I had a lot of fun. I won't say I was the best of actors or
For
singers.
hairspray in the spring.
The show that's not been.
My hair is not ready for hairspray, but I'll grow it out.
Jan wanted in on that.
I had to leave now.
You win.
All right.
Anybody else?
Did you guys have any questions about the items in red that we added on? Just want to make sure, didn't really have a chance to ask questions about any of those before. If you have any, I'm happy to answer them. If not, Stacy can move the balance.
And that should be a great question, right?
Okay.
So no questions? Okay, so I need a motion for number 4, new business, to move that. Peter, followed by Marquis. Okay, section 5, superintendent recommendation. Oh, we have to do all in favor. My fault. Trying to
You have a
finish
first and a
this.
second.
We had a first and a second.
Now you say, all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
No, that's a 4. Okay, now number 5, superintendent recommendations, I need motion. Jimmy, second. Marky, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's it. Almost done. Let's see what's at the end. Oh, that's it, guys. I need a motion to adjourn, somebody help me out. Jimmy, followed by Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Hey, okay, I made it through, okay.